Hi class, Davis here. It's pretty late, 2 a.m., and I've just finished grading your exam ones, posted them up on Carmen. So I wanted to drop by, give you a little video of my reaction to exam one. So first off, I want to express how proud I am of you guys. I know how hard each of you work, and you really put in a lot of effort uh, to try to do your best on this exam, and for that, I'm very proud of you. I was especially proud to notice that my students, on average, stayed longer in the exam. It's that kind of tenacity that it takes to succeed in the world of mathematics. You have to keep fighting, keep pursuing. Mathematics is not a very um, friendly subject. You have to meet the subject head on, experience difficulty, and push through it. So to see my students remain in the classroom fighting for each additional point really made me proud. Um, let's take a look at my thoughts on the exam question by question. Uh, we knew we were going to expect some true-false problems. Uh, just briefly glancing over it. Uh, these true-false questions seemed more or less standard to me. Um, right, and I'll be able to take a look more at them once I get exam solutions and other things like that composed. But problem 2, you could have expected to have a area between the curves of volume, rotational bodies, generalized slicing method type problem. This has been a pretty standard problem type. Problem 3, arc length problem first, uh, with a traditional type of uh, function defining our curve, so it's a good problem. And we talked about how in problem 3 part B they could test you on integration technique by inserting whatever function they like as a linear density function, and they tested you on integration by parts by inserting the density function x to the fifth or x to the sixth log x. Problem 4, more or less standard uh, work done draining a tank problem. The big problem was number 5, and I was personally pleased to see how well my students did on problem number 5. Problem number 5, it's a difficult problem because it has a lot of words in it, first off. And to parse through all of these words and come to a meaningful answer is a difficult task. And uh, additionally, uh, it's a more theoretical type question, testing your knowledge on linking Riemann sums to integration. So from that perspective, it's also a difficult question. And I'm happy to say that my understanding of the scores right now has been good for this particular problem. Alright, let's move on to talking about how we did as a class. So, looking at uh, exam results from this is the 1130 section. Grades were pretty good. I was happy to see that we averaged about an 80 in exam 1, and we had significant number of people in the B plus A minus A range, and that's always good to see. If we move on to the second class, the 1240 section, the average was even higher, almost 83%, and again, a large number of people in the B plus A minus A range. But uh, let's be careful here. Um, let's have the right reaction to this sort of distribution. Some of you did well. Very happy for you. I want you to keep doing what you're doing. Continue on. Don't fall into the trap of I did well on the first exam. I'm a calculus genius. You have to react appropriately. I did X, Y, and Z. This led to me getting a good score on my exam. Let me continue to do X, Y, and Z. Continue with the approach you've taken that has led you to this success. For those of you who didn't score quite as well as you would have liked, know this: there's still a big portion of the class left to go, and this score is no way determinative of your final score. Uh, if you didn't do as well on your last exam, let's talk about two things that you can do to help your score going forward. Um, One thing I would like you to do is to focus on points that are well within your grasp. Let's focus on points like quiz points, homework points, take-home quiz points. Try to get all of these little points. They may seem insignificant at the time, but they add up, and by the end of the course, if you can show proficiency on these small tasks, they will make an impact onto your final grade and an impact on your uh, exams and finals. The second thing I'd like you to do, if you didn't do as well as you'd like on the first exam, is reassess your approach. I've made some suggestions in my Exam 1 preparation video, but each person is different, and you have to find what works for you. So sit down with someone else, you can sit down with me, sit down with the lecturer, or sit down with a friend. It may not even be a friend who's good at calculus. Sit down with someone who can help produce new ideas, new approaches, a new way for you to succeed in calculus. So just if something's not working, try something different. All right, and I'm here to help you try to shift things up. All right, so let's finish by considering what we can expect going forward. Let me leave you with a warning. I think that Exam 2 has a chance to be really, really difficult. This is twofold. One, Exam 1 scores were pretty high, and it's hard to know if the scores in my class is a realistic sampling of what is uh, happening in the other classes. But I think it's safe to assume that, that the scores were higher than average, and it's possible that a more difficult quiz might be written in attempts to return to the mean, regress to the mean. Now, the second reason, and this may not be intentional by anyone, it just may happen that exam 2 is harder based solely on the fact that the material itself is harder. Exam 2 has many of the most difficult topics of this course, and to do well on exam 2 requires a deep understanding of calculus. So I encourage you to really put the time in over the next 3-4 weeks as we get ready for exam 2 uh, to really prepare yourself. This is the most difficult portion of this course, and it will be a big determining factor on how your grade comes out in the end. So focus in, on this next little bit. Overall, let me just say again that I'm really happy to how you guys have persevered and reacted to what has been a difficult course so far. Lots of hard material in calculus at 1172 at Ohio State, and you guys have done phenomenally so far. Let's keep it up. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and have a good uh, evening, a good weekend, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. All right. Good night.